We have here today as our guest, Sarah Greaves Gabbadon, known as JetSetSarah, all one word.
All one word.
All one word. And I've been wanting to meet Sarah for a while. She's actually been before a guest at Revel because I believe you're also, well, among many things that Sarah does, Sarah's a writer, an influencer with a really amazing Instagram. That's how I found her, a travel expert. And I believe you're also a bit of a model, right? Because I think you have
Well, I'm trying. Right now, I think now we're finally accepting that beauty comes in all forms and shapes and sizes and colors and ages. Stephanie would agree with me. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that I can get into that and start representing the perennials because
yes,
we
I
are
think you
we are women for all seasons. We don't have just one season. We have
no,
the
you
the
absolutely
whole season,
should. So that's right. So
right?
Sarah works with Reveler Stephanie Odell, who's the founder of Celebrate the Gray, which is a genius idea. It's a modeling agency for women our age, for women kind of in the second half of their lives. And I think it's, of course, you should model. You're beautiful, and your Instagram is outrageous. I love your Instagram so much. So much
Thank
stuff.
you. I have to say I spend a lot of time on it, an inordinate amount of time on it, but I really enjoy it. So it never feels like work,
Well, and how
and
many how many followers do you have?
oh, 23.9 and
Okay,
counting.
see,
In fact, 23,921
it's
as
very
of this morning,
impressive. And
because I do keep track.
I only have like 2,000 followers, and I don't spend that much time on it, but still, like yours is really good. I love it. So
Thank you. I do spend a lot of time with it, but really, I spend a lot of time on it because I enjoy it. I enjoy the platform. I enjoy the people that I've met. I've met such great people, and really, Instagram shopping algorithm knows me better than anyone else. It is amazing what it serves me. Oh God, if I could add up all the money I've spent through purchases that I was
I
alerted to
agree.
by
It's pretty
Instagram,
good. I got
right?
some flip-flops this summer that I love. They're kind of squishy looking. They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to know from you, I kind of want to take this interview in two directions. One is I'm very, very curious just about your background and how you became Jet Set Sarah. Why the interest in travel, your writing background. I want to know where you're from originally. How old are you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in all those things. And then, of course, I thought in the second half of the conversation, I'd love some Caribbean tips. Now that COVID is
Perfect.
ish on the wane ish, I'd love to hear your thoughts, I know, about traveling in the Caribbean. But yeah,
Yes.
where are you from and how old are you?
Okay, so I am going to be next month. I'm going to be 55. So I was born in 1966. Shout out Scorpios, and yeah, I'm 55. But I feel like, well, I don't know what 55 is supposed to, or I'm going to be 55. I don't know what that is supposed to feel like, but I'm just like, what? Like in the middle, I'm in the middle of looking at new places to move to,
I
and
think
I'm
it's
just
supposed to
thinking,
feel like
and
this. We're having
right?
fun.
Is this it
Yeah,
now?
yeah, this is
Okay,
it.
okay.
I'm 52.
Okay, so I'm feeling, there
Yeah.
you go. So and I was born in England, but my father was from Jamaica, but had lived in England since he was 14. My mother is from Barbados, and she had come to England when she was in her early 20s to study nursing. And that's where they met. That's where I was born. And then I will say this quickly because it's a really long story, but essentially for 3 years, backwards and forwards, for 3 year stints, we would go between England and Jamaica. So I grew up in both places.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable in both places. And then I ended up going to university in England and then going back to Jamaica because I graduated from university way back in 1989. And there was a world recession and I could not get a job in London. And I ended up going to Jamaica and working in the PR department for a hotel there, for a resort there. And I thought, I really like that. So that's how I got into travel PR, was on the in-house side. But then I kind of burnt out on that and realized that what I really loved was the writing side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had some editorial connections and I ended up I took a sabbatical at the time I was working for Sandals in PR. I took a sabbatical, I went to New York for 6 months, lived in New York, worked for a magazine, loved it. I don't recall ever having one miserable day in my life. Love New York City.
Where did you
Oh my
live?
God.
Where did you live
I
when you
lived,
were in New York?
well, this is a good story. So I lived in Gramercy in this, I don't even know if it's still there, actually on the park, and it was called oh my God, the Parkside Evangeline Residence.
Okay.
And it was one of those residences that started in the city in the 30s when they needed nice young women from the suburbs to come and work in the department stores. And so essentially it was a dorm, like a college dorm.
Yeah,
And
like
I had my,
safe
I had
spaces
my
for nice
own
young
room.
women to live.
Right. I had my own room and breakfast included every day and my own bathroom, but other people shared bathrooms and whatever. But anyway, I had a little key to the park. There was a communal key to
Oh,
Gramercy
that
Park.
fabulous park.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I fell in love with New York then. And honestly, if somebody said to me right now, this minute, I have a job for you in New York, before that phrase could fall from their lips, I would be there. I love the city. I love the city. I would go in a heartbeat. But anyway,
I'm sure you
uh,
have at different points. What magazine did you work for back then? That's the
I
same year I
worked.
graduated in 1990 from college.
Okay, it's a magazine called Heart and Soul, and it doesn't exist anymore. But there was a big publishing company called Rodale Press. They
Yeah,
did run as well, a lot of health titles, and
yeah.
so Heart and Soul was their health and fitness magazine that was aimed at Black women. And I had met, when I was at Sandals, I had met one of the editors from Essence who went to Heart and Soul as the editor in chief. And we remained in touch. And I told her I was dying to write for a magazine. And she said, well, come and be an intern for 6 months. And so I did. And it was great.
Oh,
Went back to
great.
Sandals and then moved, eventually in 2003, moved here. So
So you've actually your whole life managed to support yourself and have a career writing and travel. That's kind of amazing to me. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. It's like everyone's
it's,
dream, really.
yeah, it doesn't, it's funny because until you stop and think about it or someone else mirrors that back to you,
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that, but that is true because here's the thing: as a travel writer, for 99.9% of travel writers, you, if you're successful and have work, will have a life that's very rich in experiences and very full. But your bank account is not necessarily going to reflect that at
Right,
all.
right.
So really, and especially with the last 18 months when travel just shut down,
Yeah, that must.
even before that, just making money in travel on the editorial side is not easy. It has
Right,
to do
because
some.
making money in magazines in general and editorial has been
No,
extremely difficult
exactly,
the last
exactly.
15 years. Yeah.
When people ask me, what tips can you give me? I'm like, my tips are don't do it. My tips are, if you love to travel that much, get yourself another job that pays you enough and gives you time off enough that you can travel on your own dime. Because doing it this way is really the hardest way to travel, to be honest. It
I
really
know,
is.
but you make it look so good. Well, and then the advent of Instagram, do you get do you do product deals and work with products, and does that work for you?
Honestly, I was so happy that I had started to try and build my brand on social media pre-pandemic, because at the time, in the first few months when no one was traveling and I wasn't getting any assignments, obviously, to go anywhere and write about it, I was lucky in that there were companies that approached me and said from my Instagram and was like, well, could you do a campaign with us about this product or,
Yeah.
this thing or this place? And so that managed to keep the wolves away from the door for many months at the beginning of the pandemic before I did feel comfortable traveling again. But yeah, it's not been easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we see, we saw a light at the end of the tunnel in the summertime, right, with vaccination and stuff. But now it's like, wait, was that light an oncoming train? Because now we have Delta. And so,
I know.
in fact, just before I got on this call, I was just fielding an email from someone who was at a destination inviting me somewhere. And I said, I'll be honest with you, I have travel commitments up until the beginning of October, but I am not making anything past them because I am concerned
You're
about Delta.
yeah.
I am vaccinated. I think that people who want to travel should most definitely get vaccinated. But I also know that in the Caribbean, which is my wheelhouse,
Yeah.
although we managed the pandemic very well in terms of vaccination, where we've had to rely on other countries to give us supplies or send us supplies,
Mhm.
and we do have a measure of hesitancy. Also, vaccination in
Mm.
general in the Caribbean has not gone very well, or isn't where we would like it to
Isn't
be.
where you'd like it to be. Is it around 30%,
Well,
50%?
it depends because you have islands like the Turks and Caicos Islands and Cayman Islands that have like 70 something and upwards,
Mm.
but then you have islands like Jamaica that has 3 million people. Jamaica is the
Yeah.
largest English speaking island, but they've only got like 5% of them vaccinated.
Wow, I see.
Bahamas has only 15% vaccination. So for me to go and travel and promote travel to this region, I have to feel good about traveling myself, right?
Of
And I
course.
am starting to feel like, let me just wait and see how things go. Because
Pause.
yes, yes, I'm vaccinated, but most of the people in the destinations I'm going to are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be responsible for, making them ill or, putting any undue pressure on the
No, it's
economy.
super
So
nerve-wracking. Yeah, I have an appointment this afternoon to get a booster, although I'm not really sure I'm going to get it. I was able to make one just through CVS, and I thought,
mhm.
because I'm traveling, I'm going to Vienna in October, and I'm just nervous I'm going to get it before I
Well,
go.
keep checking the entry requirements, right? Because it could change 6 times
I
between
know.
now and then. I just got back from Holland. I told I was on this river cruise, and I checked a million. It was probably 6 weeks in the making this trip, and we were going through 5 different countries. So I was manically checking the entry requirements all the time. I had to do a million COVID tests, fill in a million forms. But we started in Amsterdam, and I was so shocked that when I went on the Netherlands website, it just said, if you're vaccinated, just bring proof of vaccination. That's it. No tests, nothing, no rapid, no
Wow.
PCR. And nobody ever checked. I did have it, but nobody ever checked when I got to the Netherlands. In other countries like France and Germany, they were much more, you sit down in a restaurant in France and they want to see the QR code. You have to
Ah,
apply in advance to have your vaccination turned into, like, be made legal in France, and then they
right.
give you a QR code that you show every time you sit down somewhere at a restaurant or going. But
Wow.
anyway, wait, I lost
Yeah.
my thread. What was I
No, it's
saying? But
okay.
anyway, just, yes,
Yeah,
travel
I
today
will.
is not smooth, it's not easy, and you have to be prepared for changes at the last minute. And
Yeah.
always have a quarantine plan. I know I'm preempting my travel tips, but always have a quarantine plan because you never know.
It would suck to get stranded somewhere and have to be quarantined and spend all that money on a hotel. It would just be super expensive. That would really be
Yeah.
the biggest
But
bummer.
that is something that we all have to take into account wherever we
Yeah.
go, because even if you are careful, like I was on a cruise to the Bahamas, everyone was vaccinated, staff, crew, and passengers, and we were only within the Bahamian Islands for a week, and yet when we tested to come back to the States, there were 3 people who were positive.
No.
And luckily, because we all had to wear contact tracing bracelets, and they had to get in touch with all the people they'd been in touch with. Their cabin
Mhm.
stewards had to quarantine, etc., etc. So even if you observe every protocol and are really, really careful, you're just not, you can't be sure
You just can't be
that you won't
sure.
end up in quarantine.
So
No.
overwhelming. All right, so let's I was about to say, and then you said the Caribbean is your wheelhouse. My sense is that's your area of expertise, even though you do lots of other travel. So I'm
Yes.
curious, actually, if I can ask first, outside of the Caribbean, do you
Mm.
have a favorite destination or a place you're dying to go to that you've never been?
Well, I have been, but I'm dying to go back. For my 50th birthday, I went to Tokyo,
Mm,
and I only spent, I think we were only there for 3 or 4 nights. Honestly, it was a ridiculously short trip. And looking back now, I recognize that I was completely jet lagged the entire time. I was just out of it. I felt like there was a screen between me and every experience, but I loved it, and I really want to go back. I just feel I'm so fascinated by the fact that Tokyo represents the polar opposite of everything Caribbean. And
yeah.
it makes me, and it's so funny because we get a lot of, not a huge amount, but there is a strong core of Japanese tourists who love to come to Jamaica. And it's so funny because it's
That's interesting. I don't think
the
I've ever
person,
seen a
yeah,
Japanese person in Jamaica. Huh.
the person I have, the personalities are so completely different. Like in Jamaica, we're very laissez-faire, we're very carefree. Like you give something to a workman and he takes out 4 screws, but he only puts back 3 because no man, 3 will do. We're very chill. Whereas the Japanese are, very meticulous, perfectionists. They take pride in doing even the smallest things really, really, really well. They're not loud and proud as
Right.
Jamaicans are, and wrong and strong, as we like to say. They're very circumspect, and we are not, but somehow there's this attraction there. I think it's the
It's
opposites
the
attracting.
opposites attract thing. Yeah.
Yes, like I mean, I'm just in awe of the Japanese. I
But
would
also,
like to
frankly,
live there for a year.
I'm also obsessed with the Japanese, and I've only been there once like you, and it's the one place I'm actually dying to go back to.
Mm,
See, particularly with your aesthetic, there's that kind of wackiness in Japan that you see. There's
yeah,
the very
yeah.
conservative, and then there's the kind of crazy wacky. It's such an
It was so
interesting
it's
mix.
so funny because every time I would leave, you could guarantee at some point a whole gaggle of schoolgirls or young women would come up to me and just be like, kawaii, look at my
I'm
knee.
sure they must have gone crazy with your look. Yeah.
It was just, and it was helped by the fact that I was wearing a crown because it was my birthday and I decided I was wearing a silver lace crown everywhere I went. So, wasn't like I was flying under the radar. But yes, I would love to go back I would love to go to Tokyo again, but of the places I have not been, I would like to go to Switzerland, and I would like to go to India, and I would like to go to Morocco.
Oh, you haven't been to India yet. You have to go to India.
I hear it's intense.
It's intense. Although I have to say, I was nervous to go because people kept telling me it was really hard. The poverty and I didn't feel like it was that hard. It is such a beautiful country. The people are so lovely, and the colors and the smells and the food.
Where did you go in India?
I've been twice to the north, to Rajasthan. Actually, my favorite place is
that's where all the jewels and gems are from.
Yes, the jewelry is unbelievable. And there's this place called Udaipur. It's amazing. And the hotels, I mean, you're a travel writer. You have to go and stay in the Oberoi hotels in northern India, I think are the most incredible places I've ever been in my entire life. I've also been to the South, but the South is Christian, the North is more Hindu, and I'm not an expert, so forgive me if I make a mistake, but the South is definitely a lot more Christian. And so it feels, and it's warmer, it feels a little bit more familiar. I mean, it's still India and it's wildly different, but the North to me felt very, just very exotic and super interesting. And I went to Varanasi, the place where they burn dead bodies, and the whole thing is, India is just unbelievable. But that's cool. So you have that's India, Switzerland, and what was the other? Oh, and you said Morocco.
Morocco and New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand's on my list too.
I want to go to New Zealand too. I've never been to New Zealand. My daughter loves New Zealand.
It just I saw, I had to sit through all the hours of the Hobbit movie, and the thing for me was, oh, the landscape looked amazing. Right?
Yeah, actually, I went to Iceland. The only trip I've done, like not a trip since COVID. I went in June. I had a trip planned during COVID that was canceled, and I had to use it. So I went in June with one of my daughters, and Iceland is a place where you feel like hobbits are going to come out of the.
Yes, I've been there too. Yes, yes.
Right? It's really very funny. All right. So in the Caribbean, that was really interesting what you said about the varying COVID rates. And I had not thought about that because I love the Caribbean, and my sense was that COVID has not been so terrible down there, like so devastating.
No. I mean, the Caribbean has handled the pandemic really well. They shut down early. Because they're islands, of course, contact tracing is that much easier. So really, relatively speaking, the Caribbean, gets at least a B+ in handling the pandemic.
That's great.
The issue, and that of course made it so that they felt safe to open last summer. So the first islands to open last summer was the USVI in June, and then the last ones are St. Kitts and Nevis just opened. The Cayman Islands, which are in the lucky position of not having to be, fully reliant on tourism. The Caribbean is the most tourism dependent. I can never say this properly. The Caribbean is the world's most tourism dependent region. Is what I'm trying to say. And so, we've had this push-pull between, okay, let's open up so we can get our economies going again and people back to work, but also we need to protect our citizens. We need to look after public health, So there's this balance.
Yeah, there's a real push-pull. It's very, very difficult. I'm so sorry about my dog.
That's okay.
Do this. Forgive me.
What's your dog's name?
His name is Strudel, and he's a white standard poodle, and he's very funny.
Strudel the poodle. Oh,
you got it, Sarah. Strudel the poodle. That's exactly right. So in the Caribbean, you're from Jamaica and Barbados, you said, right? But what's your favorite place to go? What's your favorite resort?
Okay, I would. All right, I have 4 favorite destinations, and I have a favorite type of resort. So should I tell you both?
Yeah, I want to hear it all. I love the Caribbean. I used to go a lot when I was younger.
Okay, so my 4 favorite Caribbean destinations are in no particular order, except for Jamaica. It's got to be first. So Jamaica, because I have a soft spot for it. I lived there almost half my life. But Jamaica is a total package. Jamaica has food, history, culture, dance, rivers, mountains, beaches, reggae, rum.
Yeah, and it's huge.
Jamaica,
it's a real.
Yes, it's the largest. So for people who don't know, it's the largest English-speaking island in the Caribbean. It's 4,000 something square miles. And I feel very proud to have Jamaican heritage, because when you think of how small it is and how huge the influence that Jamaica has had on the world is. It just it makes me get goosebumps right now just to think about it. I'm very proud of Jamaica. So everyone should go there at least once. I love Anguilla.
Wait, hold on. In Jamaica,
Yes.
if you had to pick one hotel or resort, which one would it be?
Oh
I know you can
boy,
I don't want you to get into
that's
trouble
a
here, but
tough one. Well, in Jamaica, in Port Antonio, which is on the northeast part of the island, which I think is the most beautiful part. I have not stayed, but I've been many times to G-Jam Resort. And it's G-Jam, Geejam, and it's also a recording studio. Like no doubt has recorded there, blah blah blah. It's just really a clutch of cute little villas on top of a hill above this beautiful lagoon. I love G-Jam.
okay, I'm ready.
Yes, then also a little further west, just outside Ocherius, I love Goldeneye.
Mhm.
Goldeneye is where Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond novels, had a home. His home is still there. You can stay in his villa. His desk that he wrote the books at is still there. But there are also lovely little villas on the water there. And it's very hip. It's where all the cool media trendy types hang out.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay,
So
those are
I would
two
give
great
those two.
picks.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. I finally went to Jake's right before COVID.
Oh, yes.
Which I had never been to, but had heard for years was great. And it was great. It was very relaxed and easy and super affordable.
Mhm.
Like the rooms were
Yeah.
not, I went in December and it was not very expensive. And so that's always good.
Jake's will always have a place in my heart because I spent one hot, steamy, romantic weekend there many years ago, pre-marriage, pre-everything, but it was, it's a good weekend.
Memorable. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. All right. So Jamaica, and then I think you were about to say Anguilla.
Anguilla I love because Anguilla, I like to think it's so I like nice things. I've never met an Hermes bag I did not like, but I don't think that I'm a pretentious person. And I feel that Anguilla matches my style in that it's somewhere's got a very high standard of restaurants, resorts, and villas, but it is not pretentious. It is not a C and B scene type of place.
Yeah.
The person next to you who is barefoot and in shorts could be a billionaire. You wouldn't know. Everyone's really chill. And it's only about 20 minutes flights from getting all my B's mixed up, from St. Bart's. And I always like to say it's like Anguilla and St. Bart's are sisters. They have equal amounts of money, but St. Bart's is the snotty, highfalutin, snooty sister. And Anguilla is like the chill, boho, barefoot, casual.
Yeah, you and we're very in sync. I've never been to St. Bart's because it always seemed a little too something.
It's a scene.
But Anguilla is amazing. I love it. In fact, do you remember that place in Anguilla? Is it called the Pump House? There's like this inside
but
bar.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh,
Irma, not post Irma.
I remember once having a really sexy dance experience there.
Oh,
very like local fun place.
Yes. It used to be on a Thursday night. Everyone would be down in Sandy Ground, which is the village where the Pump House is, and Elvis's beach bar and all of that stuff. I think it's now Wednesday night is the night, but back then when the Pump House era, it was Thursday night. I can imagine.
And it takes a lot to get me to dance. I'm a shy dancer, and I remember I was dancing with these locals, and I was really having fun. It was great.
Then that's a success.
All right, so I agree with you. Jamaica, Anguilla.
Mm-hmm. Then new in my rankings, the latest one in my rankings actually is a tiny island, 7 square miles, called Beckway, and it's in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's one of the Grenadines. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines is an archipelago with the main island, St. Vincent, and then I can't remember off the top of my head, but a few other islands like Mustique and Canawan.
Grenada, maybe? Grenada?
No. So there's Grenada. Yes, it's all in the same chain, but there's Grenada, and then Grenada has 2 islands, Petit Martinique and Carriacou, and then there's St. Vincent and the Grenadines further down in the chain. So anyway, there's one. So this one called Beckway is it's like the land that time forgot, but in a good way. It's, I don't know if you've ever watched one of those James Bond movies set in the Caribbean, like in the 60s, like Dr. No, I think, where they're in the Caribbean, it's just like one little main street and everyone has a little basket doing their shopping and it's very cold. That's how Beckway's main town, Port Elizabeth, looks even today. It's just really charming and sweet. No one is jaded. There's no mass market tourism. The only cruise ships that have come there are small luxury lines like Seabourn or Sea Dream that have like maybe 200 people. Mm-hmm. There's The biggest hotel there has 40 rooms, Beckway Beach Hotel.
Oh,
I've stayed
wow.
there. It's family run. It's lovely. There are lots of villas. There's a beautiful walk along the Belmont Pathway, Belmont Walkway, it's called. It's a beachfront walk where you go from Port Elizabeth to Princess Margaret Beach, which made famous by the princess who apparently used to love to stay there. But it's just, it's
Wow.
so
And you don't
quaint
really
and
hear about
beautiful.
people going to Bequia. I wonder why. Is it hard to
No, because well, it's yeah. So you would have to fly to Barbados, and then you fly from Barbados to Beckway, and that flight from Barbados to Beckway can cost more than the flight from America to Barbados. So
Mhm.
it's not cheap, and it's just one of those places that's been off the radar for a long time. You kind of
That's a
have to
good
be
tip.
in the know to know about it. But
Yeah.
if you really wanted to get away, I recommend it highly. Just
I wonder what
beautiful.
their COVID rate is. I'm going to look into it.
I'm
Bequia.
sure. I
Wow.
think St. Vincent's and the Grenadines. I have it. Oh, I don't have it here. I put it away, but I would be able to look it up for you. But there. I don't think they're doing too bad. I don't
So
think they
have
are.
you been to like every Caribbean island?
I have not. I've been so Mustique, one of the Grenadines, has escaped me. I have not been there yet. I've been to Dominica, but only once, and I'm for the first time ever in my traveling career, I actually missed a connection through no fault of my own. But I missed the connection. Had to spend a night in Puerto Rico, and so therefore I only ended up being in Dominica for like 48 hours, and it was not enough because they build themselves as a nature island. And you know, I've been to a million Caribbean islands. I expect it to be beautiful and lush and whatever, but Dominica has been blessed by the fact that they really haven't had they don't, it's not an easy, oh, up until December, because American Airlines is going to start new service direct into Anguilla from Miami and into Dominica from Miami. So you'll be able to get there, but they haven't been able to get there. And so it's kind of, as I said, off the beaten path, kind of rustic. Really, they've got something like 7 natural volcanoes. They've got bubbling springs under the
I don't think I've
water. It's
ever heard of
very,
anyone going to Dominica.
yeah,
I've
it's
seen
not
it.
easy to get to.
Yeah.
So kind of if you either if you go there on a cruise ship
Mhm.
or and they were also very badly affected by Irma also, but have completely bounced back. I mean, nature springs back like that. But just very if you're into wellness and health and being outdoorsy and you're not too there is one luxury resort there, which is I went for the opening for, which is called the Kempinski Resort, which is very nice, but it's not, you know, the typical Dominican resort is, you know, is not a resort. It's like a small family run
Small hotel.
hotel in the mountain. I mean, just
Those are the kind of
dying
places
to go
I
back
like
there.
to go to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, Sarah, why do you live in Miami and not the Caribbean?
It's the gateway to the Caribbean. It
It-
allows me, first of all, Miami's like the Caribbean North.
yeah.
We have, you know, we have a very Caribbean, for good and for bad, we have a very Caribbean vibe down here in Miami. And honestly, I am 20 minutes flight from Bimini in the Bahamas. I'm going
Yeah.
there on Friday. My longest flight is 3 hours, and that would be to Barbados or to Trinidad and Tobago. But otherwise, I'm within 2 hours of everywhere I need to be in the Caribbean. So I'm kind of getting all the, you know, big city Miami niceties, but also constantly in the Caribbean and enjoying that island vibe and most important, island people.
That's great. And have you lived there most of your adult life in Miami? I mean, have you settled there for a long
I
time?
have lived, I moved to Florida in 2003 from Jamaica, and I lived in Broward, so like around Fort Lauderdale. And then I moved to Miami in 2013.
Nice.
So I've been down
You're a
here, yeah,
Florida
8 years.
girl. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like to think, you know, I like to think I'm kind of mid-Atlantic. You know, I'm 30, I'm from 30,000 feet. That's where I'm honestly, that's where I'm happiest. I settle into my sea. I have my little
Really? You're
rituals.
honestly happiest when you're on an
Oh
airplane?
my God, I'm happiest in the plane. I mean, okay, we have to stick a pin and say, yes, now that there's COVID, now we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not relaxed like I used to be in the plane. Now I'm very much thinking to myself, okay, yes, I'm vaccinated, but there's potentially this silent killer that
Yeah.
I can't, silent, invisible killer. So it's, yes, it's not relaxing as relaxing as it used to be. But no, I'm not one, I know many travel writers who love to be in the destination, but hate the process of getting there. They hate the schlep. Me, I love it all.
You love
I
it.
love everything from getting their itinerary. I print it out old school and I write my outfits from accessories to underwear, buy
Wait,
every
really?
single thing on that. Oh yeah. Those pretty pictures don't come up by
They don't,
accident. It
it's a
takes
lot of work.
planning. Yes. And especially since I only ever want to travel with a carry-on. So like I've done 3 7-night cruises in the last 2 months. with a carry-on.
And when you do a cruise, you're writing about it, but do you also do anything like on the cruise? Like, do you entertain people in any way? Like, do you do a talk, or like, do they
Oh
demand anything of you?
no,
No,
no, I
you're
don't go.
just
I guess
your charming
yes,
self.
yes. I'm just my charming self. But sometimes I'm with. Most times for work, I travel on my own. Most times, particularly on cruises, because if I can't take my parents or a parent, because they love to cruise, they're my first choice. But otherwise, it's difficult because cruises are usually 7 days. You're in a confined space,
Yeah.
and I am working. So
Yeah.
it's tough to take like a civilian travel partner who's not your parent and
Got
won't
it.
put up with your crap.
Won't put up with everything
It can
you're.
test the friendship. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
All right.
I mean, for my own.
My last question is, have you thought about writing a book? You're such a great personality and have all this experience.
Oh, thank you. I have not, but that's because when people say, "Have you thought about writing a book?" I immediately think fiction, and
Mhm.
no, I have no desire to write a fiction book. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I could write a book about something else. I don't know how to pack
Yeah.
a cruise with a carry-on. I don't know. I could write a very small ebook about that.
A very small book on how to pack light and look glamorous.
It's pack like, look glam in 10 easy steps. Yep, that's it. There's an ebook right there.
How to apply excellent purple eyeshadow because your eyes look fabulous.
Yes. Wait, can I tell you the thing that I'm most proud of?
Yes,
My
please.
most proud accomplishment during the pandemic is that I learned, look, please take in the beauty. I learned to apply false eyelashes.
That is impressive.
And
I actually gave up on my false eyelashes during the.
don't give up. I have all the tips. That's my book there. That's my book.
Every 3 weeks, I went and got extensions. And then, of course, at the beginning of COVID, when you couldn't get waxed or get your nails done,
Right.
my lashes go. And then when we thought COVID was over, whatever, a few months ago, I went and got my lashes done. And I felt like you look fabulous, but I felt like I looked like Tammy Faye Baker or something. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't
Really?
the look. But I have always wanted to wear eyeshadow the way you do, like a big full thing of like turquoise eyeshadow.
Oh, yes. Okay,
And I'm
so
a little bit of
this is it looks I noticed that it looks purple, but it looks completely blue, like an indigo blue in the pan, and it is Pat McGrath. This Pat McGrath is a Black English
I
makeup
don't know.
artist.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, she's really, really well known, very accomplished. And she has her own line that sells every time she brings out something.
Makeup.
Yeah, Pat McGrath.
All
but
right.
I had to find this on eBay because it was sold out. But yes, I'm the queen of. I say, liner is the new lipstick, right? Because we're all hidden behind masks.
Good point.
And so, I learned to put on false eyelashes, but B, and it started a year before the pandemic, I just got into, this is Instagram. Instagram was serving me ads for a Shiseido blue mascara. Mm-hmm. And I became obsessed with the mascara. I bought the mascara, and then that was a gateway drug to the blue eye because I had the blue eyes. And then I was like, well, why don't I try blue liner? And then essentially that's what it is. It's just like the cheapest chips blue eyeliner that I'm always wearing. But today for you, I was like, I'm going to bust out
some fancy
McGrath and the advanced lashes because usually they're not quite this.
They look so great. And I have to tell you, it really is one of my like aging, like I'm 52. And I feel like one thing I don't wear a lot of makeup, but I've really always wanted to do an eye like that and feel like I can pull it off. And I've still not done it. So I have to get there.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's just a matter of how you get used to
what you get
yourself,
used to. Yeah. Just walking around with like bright purple eyeshadow. Okay. You've inspired me. All right. Well, for those of you listening, JetSetSarah, Sarah Greaves Gabbadon has an amazing Instagram. So please follow Sarah, JetSetSarah on Instagram.
With an H, please.
With an H, JetSetSarah, SARAH. She's definitely one of my style icons. And I'm just really so glad to meet you and to know more about, you enlightened me about COVID in the Caribbean and vaccination rates. But a B+ rating for how they've handled COVID is pretty inspiring.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
I mean, made me feel like I don't want to go there. Like, you have to.
You should go. I would just say to people, be discerning about where you're going. So research, don't just think about, what island do I want to be on because, I want beaches or food or whatever, but make sure that you look, if you just Google the name of the destination and put official tourism, you'll get to their official tourism site and see what their vaccination rates are. Because, there's some places, like I say, I'm not like, I would love to go home to Jamaica, but I can't go home to Jamaica right now when 3
I
million people and this
No, it's too
5%
big. I agree with
vaccinated.
you. It's too big a country, and if too low a vaccination rate, it doesn't make sense. But we've also gotten two great tips from you on kind of undiscovered or less discovered islands, Bequia and Dominica. And your favorite destinations was your Jamaica and Anguilla, which I totally agree with. So
Yes, and the Turks and Caicos Islands is my fourth. Whenever people ask me, and I see
okay.
somebody ask about packing tips, so you must let us come back to packing tips.
Oh
But
yes, let's go back to packing
yeah.
tips before we go off. What are your packing
Okay.
tips? Sometimes I
So
roll things, but yeah, tell us your.
okay, so here are my tips in a nutshell. So as I told you, I like to travel carry on only.
Me too.
I have a hard case, and I have a hard case. It's from Away. It's the larger aluminum case or bigger aluminum carry on. And I bought it because for an article, I got comparable cases and tried them all out. And that was the best in terms of quality and price.
Okay.
If I had $1,000 to spend, I would buy the 2-me-1, but instead I spent $4.99, and I'm very happy with the Away case. But so choose a good case. I chose, one of the reasons why I chose it is because it has clamps, because I believe that zippers are the most vulnerable part of your suitcase. They're easy to get into. So I always have a case with clamps.
Oh,
and you find that they're not easy to find because they add so much weight to the case. But anyway, has clamps. Okay, so you've got your good case. The first thing I tell you is you're going on a trip. I was going to the Netherlands last week, which for me was a challenge because I know what to wear for a Caribbean hotel thing. I don't know what to wear when I'm going to 5 different countries on a river cruise. I've never been.
Yeah, particularly with a carry-on. That sounds
Yeah. Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to carry my coat because of course I came from Miami, so I'm like, I need a coat, even though it was 50s, 60s. But I carried my coat, but everything was in the carry-on. And the most important thing I think is choose a color palette to guide what you're going to put in your case. So I decided that my color palette for that trip was going to be denim, blue denim, and black. And I would add color because I have to have color through my accessories and a scarf, blah, blah, blah. But that was my basics because then I knew they would all go together. And of course, and I knew the weather wasn't going to be summery. So I thought black will be fun, and it hides a multitude of sins. If I get it dirty, it's not a big deal. And black and denim, it goes.
Yeah. Black and navy.
So awesome. I did that. I never pack sleepwear. It's a waste of time. Either you can sleep in the hotel robe, or if there's no robe, sleep naked or sleep in your underwear. That's one piece of clothing that you could have brought home. And from the days before I knew not to pack sleepwear, I did learn that if you do insist on packing sleepwear, don't pack white night clothes because you're going to get them lost in the sheets and forget them in the hotel. It's so easy to do. So don't pack white pajamas. Okay. What other tips do I have? Oh, roll and fold. I do both in the same case. So the things that are most crushable, I will fold into the largest half possible. So basically they're just lining the entire bottom of the case. Yep. I do those all flat. And then everything else like t-shirts, workout clothes, anything knit, and I have a lot of knit fabrics. Right. I roll them into sausages and I just,
and them up.
You'll be amazed how many you can stack.
Yeah.
I'll put my
do that
socks into.
I always find shoes the most difficult thing, like when you're traveling for a week, because you go away with one pair of shoes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So the way the Away case opens, it's one of those clamshell deals, right? Okay. So one side is actually my clothes, but honestly, the other side is like standing items that never leave my case. So I'm really actually only packing in half the carry-on. And so on the standing side, on the forever side of what I always have with me, I have a shoe bag from Away again, in which I have 3 pairs of shoes. My running shoes, which are non-negotiable, they always go with me, and I stuff my running socks in them. Mm-hmm. And then there's a pair of they're from Free People, a pair of flat brown leather like ankle sandals, like goddess sandal, I forget what they call them. But so I can wear those in the day with shorts, or I can wear them with a maxi dress in the evening. Nice. And then I have also managed to squeeze in a pair of yellow Birkenstocks Gizeh, but they're not they're the rubber Birkenstocks, that they've come out with for the summertime. So I wear those on the beach. I also wear them in the shower because I have a little thing where no matter how luxurious the hotel, I just can't have my bare feet touch the tub or the floor. I have to, I have to have my shoes on.
Okay.
Yes. I have to have my shoes on. So I wear those in the shower and I can wear them out of the shower and straight to the beach. So I always
do
have those 3
associate
pairs
the
of
color,
shoes packed.
I associate the color yellow with you just from
It's
your,
my favorite. It's
so.
my favorite. So that shoe bag honestly takes up a third of the side of one entire case, right? And then I have another packing case. It's like about not packing cube, but it's not a cube. It's about this. I got the whole set from Away, and that has things like my eye shade, because
Mhm.
there's always, many of the flights I take to the Caribbean are early in the morning, and there's always that one person who refuses to shut the blind, and I can't stand that. So I like to get some sleep. So I have a good, comfortable eye shade. I have workout bands, stretchy bands for
God,
if
you're
I
putting
decide
me
I'm
to
going to
shame.
do.
This is so
Yes.
impressive that you always travel with
and
your sneakers and your work bands in your
but you know
carry-on
what?
case.
I don't have to think about it. They're already there. I don't have to worry. Like, do I have them? I've got a sweatband. I've got a blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait. But perhaps my best packing tip actually is that I keep a packing list. I made myself a packing list on the Notes app in my
Huh?
iPhone. And I'll see if I can bring it up here for you, because I made it like a, okay. I don't know if you can, let's see, can I?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, now I can see
Right.
it as
Okay. So you
well.
can kind of see it, but I made it so like they're all yellow. You see they've all
Yeah.
got yellow dots beside them, because as I pack them, I tick them off. So I made it as a list. If you go into Notes, there's a way to
So
make it
yeah, I
tabulated.
love
Yes.
notes. I use notes all the time.
Right. So I have it in under categories. So pre-departure, I have things like set AC to 80, bring in patio furniture, empty garbage, run dishwasher, water plants. Okay, so we make sure that's done. But then I have things like essentials. So passport, business cards, pen. Oh, please always carry a pen. Not
Always
having
carry
a pen
that.
is the biggest international traveling rookie mistake ever. Do you have a pen? Do you have a pen? Flight attendants don't want to lend you their pen, and it's COVID. You don't want to borrow someone else's potentially germy pen.
Oh,
Take a
it's
pen.
true. And it's
Now I have a whole COVID section: face mask, hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes. I have a tech section: electrical adapter, Netflix download. I have to make sure I download Netflix to my phone before
right.
I leave, right?
I always forget to do.
Because
Do you
yeah,
actually
because if
consult
you're
this list?
internationally,
If
yeah.
I had this
So
list, I would never look at it.
every time I don't pack without it, and that's also another thing. I pack in daylight. That's kind of a thing of mine. Like I do not like to pack once it's the evening before. I'll pack the day before, but it must be in daylight. And I often will try. Not many people have this time, but I often will try on the things that I think I'm going to wear. I'll
Yeah.
just quickly try them on to make sure that like, oh, I need a strapless bra with this one,
Yeah,
or
yeah. And
this
that you
bra,
still, they still
that
fit
kind
and
of
you
stuff.
still like them. And I often do that too. I actually have a
Exactly.
funny quirk along those lines. I try on my outfit in the morning before I shower. Like I want to see whether I
Oh,
like my outfit, and then I go shower and then I get ready.
okay. I think that makes sense to me. So
Okay.
so use a packing list, because and the packing list is very specific to me, like accessories, tech section, lingerie section, comfort. So I have comfort items section, like contact lenses, prescription glasses, my foot hammock. Do you know what a foot hammock is? For the
I mean, I
test?
can imagine. Is it something you use on an airplane?
Yes. So if you are short like me, I'm only 4'9.5".
No, you are not four
When
nine and a half.
yeah, 4'9.5". So I just photographed her. But if you're short like me, when you sit in an aircraft, particularly a newer aircraft, your feet don't touch the ground, and it's not a big deal. Look, see, Alex is 4'9" too.
Yeah,
Woo,
Alex
go
is
Alex,
fun
get
too.
yourself a foot
Woohoo!
hammock. So it's just not a big deal on my short trips, but if I'm doing long haul, I remember on the way to Tokyo, sitting next to me was also a petite woman, and she whipped out, while we were still at the jet bridge, she whipped out this foot hammock, and it's basically a sling, and you can get them on Amazon. Just search foot hammock, and it's a sling that has long adjustable straps, and you put it over the knob of the tray table, and
Okay.
then you adjust it to the height that you need, and then you put your feet in it. So like you can
Awesome.
recline
Well,
your seat, and then your feet are up, right? And so your feet aren't dangling and the blood pooling in your ankles and you get off with cankles. It makes even coach feel like business.
it
It's
sounds
wonderful.
really good. Well, Alex in the audience says she's getting one right away. And I have to say,
Yes.
you've given me so many tips that I think I may have to reach out to you. I'm going to do a Revel edit piece because you've
Please
given me
feel
lots
free.
of good shopping tips.
I
So
love to share. I honestly, as much fun as I have from traveling and experiencing these things for myself, I get equal amounts of fun from like sharing it with people and taking people along with me, which is why I love, I love to do stories when I go on a trip, because I feel like it's a way to, to share the love, to share the experience with people.
Yeah, I want to read. And then where can my last question really is, can we
Mm.
read all of your stuff in any one easy place? Do you have a website? Is there a blog?
Yes, so I have a website, JetSetSarah.com, and it's essentially a portfolio website. So anytime I have, like, I just did my first feature for Condé Nast Traveler UK,
Mhm.
which will also appear in the US edition. But anytime I have something that's just come out, I always post it and links to it on the website. So,
All right. Well, hopefully this
JetSetSarah.com.
conversation will lead to more followers.
I
JetSetSarah.com,
hope so.
JetSetSarah on Instagram with an H at the end. You're just a delight. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for doing this. And
It's been my pleasure. So much fun to do
I
this.
hope COVID ends soon and you get to do more work and, we all get to travel more. But I will really think of you when I go to the Caribbean next, and I'm going to reach
Please
out,
do.
do a Revel
Please
editing
do.
with you. I will.
Yes, I'm happy to help.
Really fun to meet you. Okay, big hug. Take care. Thank you everyone for listening.
Bye. Thanks for
Um,
listening. Thank you.
check out revel.com. Hello, revel.com, everyone, for events and community, and we'll talk soon.